Student loan forgiveness. Student debt should be forgiven, and moving forward, a fair and equitable way should be employed. Causes for the crisis in student debt are increasing tuition, unscrupulous and unfair recruiting tactics by inferior, non-accredited, and substandard educational institutions just out to make a profit from federally guaranteed loans. The student loan crisis. Student loan access is almost seamless for a reason. The GI Bill of 1944, followed by the Guaranteed Student Loan Act, provided a windfall for-profit schools and diploma mills to take advantage of our graduating high school seniors and others in the mid-20th centuries, and it continues today. Loan servicers, who are the managers of student loans for the Department of Education, are making astronomical profits with interest rates and lengthy loan contracts. Student loans have become a long-term commitment that our youth have been pressured into entering. Student loan access is practically seamless. The reasons for the easy obtained loans are the Guaranteed Student Loan Act 1965 gave student access to loans guaranteed by federal governments that needed no scrutiny of students' credit history or economic standing. This led to colleges, universities, and trade schools to explode with students and recruiting tactics of these schools to become more aggressive to make money. Correspondence schools, small diploma mills, and other educational venues started popping up that may or may not be accredited, all in the interest of accessing federal loan money. Eventually, correspondence courses became online schools of all kinds. A rise in the existence of for-profit schools started, all for the sake of taking advantage of our country's youth to make money from their hopes of an education, which was a fallacy in some cases. Student loans have become a long-term commitment that our youth have been pressured into. The GI Bill was a federal program set up for the returning service member from World War II and subsequent service members to access higher education in appreciation for their service to a grateful nation. This program was also exploited by for-profit schools, diploma mills, and non-accredited institutions eager to take part in the windfall of federal money for insufficient education. These schools would use recruiting practices, ill-advising their prospects with hopes of high salaries and reputable credentials, all in the interest of making a profit. The degrees and diplomas received were not sufficient to gain employment in their chosen field or earn the capital they were promised to receive. If the GI Bill did not sufficiently cover the cost of tuition, the students were roped into a student loan to cover the difference. Loan servicers. Loan servicers are the managers of student loans for the Department of Education. These organizations are protected by the Department of Education. The department protects these loan servicers from any backlash, but some states are attempting to enact laws to help students who are being exploited. The Department of Education sides with debt collectors against the ever-growing number of Americans that are crushed by student loans. State efforts to protect student borrowers from unscrupulous actions by loan servicers goes unchecked due to federal law. This is an overreach by the federal government. The situation of the graduate. The current graduate with student debt is likened to the use of indentured servitude that was used in the period of the colonies and colonial United States for Europeans to gain passage. The idea is that although the system that is in place today is not burdensome or difficult as indentured servitude, it still adds a feeling of restraint for the first years of employment, some more than others due to the amount of debt or salary they earn. This is becoming exactly reminiscent of the debt incurred for the indentured servants' passage to the New World and their terms of repayment. The push for higher education has been compared to the obsession with home ownership, which has gripped the economy as well. This has prompted college bureaucracies to raise tuition prices and cause an inflationary spiral. Students are either unemployed or underemployed and put off marriages and home ownership due to debt incurred for want of higher education that has not returned the financial well-being promised. The opposition not to forgive loans. Case number one. Those with the highest debt are those professionals who are in careers making a considerable salary and can pay off their loans with little consequence. Most student loans in default are not those who owe huge debts, but are in lower balances under $35,000. Those with small student loans are those who are defaulting on their loans because they never finished their education, or the education they received did not lead to the significant earnings to carry the weight of the repayment of their loans. The concern has some merit because it addresses how much revenue would be lost in funds that could be recovered. However, this would not be fair to those who are struggling to repay loans they incurred by means of dubious dealings with recruiters, loan servicers, and false expectations. The opposition to not forgive. Case number two. To forgive student loans would raise demand for higher education and then subsequently increase inflation. This would contribute to inflation macroeconomically, and it would encourage higher tuition costs microeconomically. This could be upheld by the fact that schools would get an influx of prospective students and tuition costs would be increased. This would in turn encourage students to incur more debt. But the contention here is that even if students do not get debt relief, they will remain in default, and the debt will ultimately still fall to the government and potentially increase inflation. The answer to the continual cry of who will pay for this will subsequently be the taxpayers in either case one or case two. The solution. The student loan crisis is not going away and only continues to grow. We need students pursuing a higher education, whether it be in pursuit of professional careers, education, industrial trades, service roles, and more. Government subsidized funding for college would solve this need and eliminate the student loan crisis. In its current state, the system is failing, and the growing number of loans in default will only result in recovery by tax dollars, whether loans are forgiven or not. Government subsidized tuition, college education would only be at state schools, community colleges, and selected trade schools. This would be granted on a student by student basis on the merit of their high school transcripts and likeliness to succeed in their prospective program of study, much like a scholarship program, but on a larger scale. Government funding would not stop there. To support this endeavor, schools would also receive funding for grounds, infrastructure, and faculty. We need a way that looks at the success of the student and their ability to be gainfully employed after graduation and succeed. This is important for our country to stay in step with the global economy and to build our economy here in the United States.